Three.
What's up, y'all? Hey, everybody. I wanted to surprise them with that sound effect. We've been messing around with sound effects. But everybody, welcome. This is System X here. We have Hack, we have Archie, and you have me, Dr. Sean K. We just wanted to welcome everybody to this video. We hadn't made any content pertaining to what we have been working on behind the scenes or what we have offered to people in this community. But we just wanted to kind of go down the list, kind of talk about some things, share some ideas, and kind of chop it up here with each other and with you guys as well. All right, what's first on the list? Hackety hack.
Well, no. Aside from welcoming everybody, we wanted to talk about the Discord channel. The last time anybody heard from us was what, a month ago. I mean,
Yep.
it feels like a long time has passed, but it was actually just like 30 days ago. So yeah, wanted to go highlight over a few changes that we've made and just things that we separated in the Discord chat. Um,
Well, Herman, let's thank the 347 members that have joined.
Woo!
for sure, for sure.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. No, that's really an accomplishment because we just started it, and then the first night it was like over like what 150, 200 people joined or something.
Something
It
like
was.
that. It's a lot of people were curious to see what it is that we were, trying to bring to the market or just bring to the community. I say market; it's an easy way to just like lose sight of what it is. And to be honest, the heli community is it seems like a market, but it really is just like a brotherhood of people that just love this hobby.
Sure.
All right, so we did separate a few things. We have a bunch of categories that we've created because obviously this is extensive, especially between Radio Master and FR Sky. There's some of the things that we just something as simple as like a general chat. You got your first flight on Rotorflight chat. I mean, stuff. It's pretty intuitive. We tried to separate it as less, in a less confusing way or less. Oh, you get my drift.
Well, and Herman too, like our suggestions. So, like
Yeah,
those suggestions that we put up, we've had some really good suggestions from the community where we've added the nitro section. We've
yeah,
also added the F3C section. So that's one to highlight too as well.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. There's different areas for people to make suggestions and see where we take the community going forward.
Right. Let's see. Welcome to the System X. I see that tab there. So it's just a welcome. Is that where all the rules are and stuff like that? Like,
Yeah, so basically anybody anytime drops into the like they jump into the community for the first time, they're going to show up in the Welcome to System X community. Just to
okay.
separate a little bit from like the general chat room. Mind you, we've been our knowledge in Discord communities isn't really extensive. We went about this the same way that we go about building our first helicopter, where it's kind of like a learn as you go.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So yeah, I guess we wanted to reach out to the community and see how things were going and let everybody know like what we're working on or what we've been working on, why we chose. I'm not sure if we've covered it on a video, but why we chose the AK-420 as a starting point. Why we haven't really gone down the road of like dropping down like different presets all at once. I don't know if Archie how you felt about it about dropping an AK-420 versus 700. I know we had talked about it in passing. Like we wanted to drop a model that was easier for people to you know get comfortable using Rotorflight
Yeah.
as opposed to other systems.
Can I jump in right before you answer that?
Yeah,
Um, we didn't go down all these tabs here, and I think people that will be listening that are not actually engaged in the visual part of it, it would be good if we just kind of ran down the room. So it would maybe ring a bell with some of those people that are kind of have questions about it, or maybe they're dealing with a certain specific problem and they don't know to actually there's an actual room on our Discord where you can go get your answers for that. Would you like me to go down that list really quickly?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can talk about each one too, Sean.
Okay.
Sean, before you start down that, link to the Discord. for those that are
Oh,
watching this video that haven't been to it before. So we had some links and they were expiring. So now we do have a permanent
Yeah.
link that we can put in the comments of this video
Yeah.
absolutely.
as well too. So that if you look in the comments, you'll see the link to our Discord there.
Yeah, it'll actually be in the description too. We'll put it in the comments and the description.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I had about probably 15 to 20 people hit me up like the link doesn't work. The link doesn't work, and then we finally fixed the problem. Thank you, Hack. Was that you? One of you guys fixed it.
We made it.
Yes,
I
sir.
made it. Yeah, I did it.
Well, yeah, we
Permanent.
made it
Like
happen.
it's like I said, we're going about this the way that we first started on Rotorflight, where it's like, okay, this doesn't work. Let's try it again. And
Right.
and we found ways around the expiration dates on the links. So it's a permanent link and it doesn't have an expiration date. So no matter when you see this video, you're always going to have a key to the chat.
Okay, so because we are the moderators of this group, there's certain stuff that won't show up to a regular end user on the Discord, correct? Or is it all the same viewable? They just can't get in.
No. There's definitely permissions per user, and
Okay, got it.
things that we see from a constructive point of view. It's different than what
Different.
from a person would a regular user would step into the community and see what we would like them to see or what's easiest for them to see. We have
Okay.
definitely some clear separations.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna go down to general. General is for like general, like, hey, this, that, that. Suggestions, as Archie talked about, like, hey, it would be better if blah blah blah. Or just suggestions. The next one is I just got my first flight. And it's what is it? First flight on Rotorflight, I believe. I can't see the rest of it, but
There
your
it is.
first.
Yeah.
Okay,
First experience on Rotorflight.
okay, so good. So there, if you're having your first experience, whatever, good or bad or whatever, let's jump in there. Had a great day of flying. If you want to, as they say in church, a praise report to talk about you and your heli and having a good time at the field. We have the welcome to the System X community room. We also have then the SXC, and a lot of people are like, well, what does that mean? So System X community, if you take the initials, it says sexy. So sex and then C. So we kind of just say that as a acronym, abbreviation, nickname for System X community because it's kind of a tongue twister if you say it 13 times. I want to see you do it. I'm just joking. But yeah, so we have the presets for helicopters. We'll get into so here's the thing. Herman kind of danced on it a little bit. We'll talk about all the presets and when they're coming and all that stuff and how they're coming. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm gonna continue with the helicopter tuning tab. It's 500 and smaller. We also have a 500 to 600 tune. We have the 700 class. We have black box tuning. We also shouts out to Brian Birdsong. We have the F3C in precision tuning. He has been feverishly working on his setup. He's made milestones of progress with that community. And when I say that community, we have, helis, of course, but then we have like 3D flying, we have precision, we have scale, we have all these different. We don't have scale on here too, so we might have to add that as well at some time in the near future. We have Nitro. We have radio setup, Radio Master 6 TX16S. We have the Radio Master Boxer. We have the Radio Master Pocket. We have the FR Sky or Free Sky, however you choose to say it. We have a 20. We have an X20, X18, and X14. Then we have radio protocol. We have ELRS. I'm always mix that up. We have the FR Sky or Free Sky Twin Tandem. We have a general voice channel and a sexy sim time. So if you want to get on here with your friends and hey, we're going to be on real flight from 7 to 8, everyone log in. You can talk at the same time and connect that way as well. We have events, the Winter Bash 2024, which is just passed. That was great. You want to say something, Archie?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about so we have the general chats for like the Radio Master 16, TX16S. We have the Boxer, the Pocket, some of those that we just put in there, and those are general discussions. I've got a question a few times like, where are the presets? And that's where from a navigation standpoint, you go up to where the SXC presets, and those are the ones that are posted in the preset for the TX16. So
Cool.
just a little clarification there.
Gotcha. Thank you, Archie. So those are the rooms you can go in. Those are where the presets are. Archie just said. Just know that we are feverishly working on different presets for different models. These two guys, Archie and Hack, have been I don't know how many hours into this. You can't even count. Seeing them shaking their heads, they're like, "Bro, it's been years of hours."
Yeah, even the tattoos have aged.
Right. Their tattoos are a little bit dimmer now on their skin because it's been so long. But yeah.
We're working on all kind of cool stuff.
Oh yeah, we got some cool stuff coming. Actually, we got a couple pans in the fire right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some cool things coming, some cool things, ideas that we're talking about with some people. And I want to keep those terms and names kind of general because we're not ready to announce them yet. But just know that System X as a community and as what we're doing is trying to grow this community, grow awareness, and that we're doing some things behind the scenes. I know we hadn't really talked to you guys about what's been happening over the last few weeks, but of course the holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, New Year's, all that stuff, prepping for that, family coming over, stuff, it got a little, busy for us. So, and I'm sure busy for you guys and girls as well. So just know that first quarter, second quarter, we got some stuff coming. So
Did you get anything new? I mean, so we talked about System X is us together, but Sean, did you get anything new over the holidays you working on?
yeah, I got let's see. Well, I got the Nimbus kit that had been sitting there since I don't know, months. I think I got it in like July or August or something. And everybody's like, "Oh, the Nimbus." Oh. I'm like, "Man, all right." And I bought everything for it. I upgraded the tail to the V2 tail, the new tail. Like I bought like, different color booms, all this stuff. I'm just like, all right, I'm excited about it. So, I'm no one to bash any product. I just label stuff is it works for me or it doesn't. It could work for anyone, what I might tolerate or what I might or might not tolerate. Herman or Archie, you might be like, "Oh, this is heaven to me." So it's all subjective. Let me just say that, put that disclaimer out there. It's all subjective to who the pilot is. So I got the Nimbus, put it together, and I matened it, and the clutch came off. And again, like when something I'm not sure about something, I go straight to the source. So I'll call Nick Maxwell. He's like, "Bro, you have to tighten that thing like crazy." I'm like, Hack is shaking his head like, yeah, yeah, yeah. He calls it putting the beans to it. So I'm like, I got my, you know, I'm like got veins busting out of my elbows and temples like sweating. I'm like, and then I go back up, and this was like maybe 20 seconds to the tank. I go back, tighten everything up, go back out again, hover some more. I'm doing some pitch pumps. Engine is running really well. And what happens is when it lets go, it goes from zzz to zzz, like it just goes crazy. So it did that, landed it. Thank God I was like almost over the pool, but I wasn't. So got it, landed it, and I walked up to it, and it's still running because I've trained myself go to throttle hold. So I went go to throttle holds. It's hovering. Idling. No problem. Come back. Put the beans to it. Put the Herman arm beans to it. And I had this thing tight like Hack's pants. Have you ever seen Hack's pants at the Fun Fly? You can pretty much see
You
veins
know what's
popping
up.
out in his
You
thighs.
know what's up.
Oh yeah. So so I put that type of strength tightness on it. Went back up again. I'm like, okay, we got it. I'm over the pool. And I'm like, yeah, right. Doing some pirouettes. Was not confident enough to put it inverted yet. So I'm going to do some pinch pumps, come back to zero, right over the pool. Wham! Bro, left aileron, negative pitch to get it right over. There's a wall where my pool is. So I get it right over the wall, land it. And I'm just like, this isn't for me. So I come back. I call Archie. I'm like, and I call you too. I'm like, hey, this just isn't for me. Just with all the it just seemed like the metals were kind of soft. like stuff was labeled wrong, stuff missing in the kit. The boom had the name on it upside down. And that might be okay. It's just, it just wasn't for me. So I called up Archie. I'm like, hey man, don't you want a Nimbus? You want a Nimbus, don't you? Because Archie's inner whatever he is on his what makes him tick is diagnosing, finding problems, and fixing it and making it work smoothly. Whatever that is, in any genre of any machine on planet, he knows how to get it fixed. So he's like, yeah, I'll take it. So I was like, man, I'm about to order another 580, SAB 580, because that's just been like clockwork for me. I just love that kit. He's like, bro, I got one right here. I'm like, what? So I drive up there. I bring him a Nimbus in a bag. No one talk about this bag. Don't do it, Archie, Hack. Don't you do this. I put all the screws in a bag, right? Everything. And then I take it up there. Okay. So all right, listen, I'll put this disclaimer out here because I know someone's going to talk about this.
You see what this is right here? This right here, is actually the size of the holes of the bag that he used. Swear to God.
I didn't see this. It was 4 holes in the bag.
The bottom of the bag, literally like that. You can stick your hand in like that.
Like you just spun the bolts off and just dump the bolts.
Yeah, it was bad. So Archie's like, hey man, are there any parts in your trunk? I'm like, no, what do you mean? He's like, bro, it's screws all over my kitchen floor, man. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, bro, you gave me a bag with holes in it. So shouts out to me for giving him a holy bag, my bag. But
on the price side, I did find this little like thing where you can
yes,
the bolts. That's kind of cool. Printed that.
Well, yeah, he 3D printed that thing so it could help him go through all the missing parts or stuff. So I ended up trading with him, and then I'm building the 580 now, which I absolutely love. To me, it's a perfect nitro of that size. It's not as light as the Nimbus, but it's just, I think SAB hit it out of the park with this one as far as like how it was designed, weight distribution, how it feels in the air. It's just the perfect. And I love the tank size on it. Usually a problem that I've had with a lot of these newer nitros is that they make the tank a little bit smaller to save weight, but then you're getting shorter flying times, which is putting it about the same time or a little bit more than an electric. And I'm just kind of like, meh. I like the big tank on the 580. I'm getting 12-minute flights out of it. Like, yeah, see your face? Like, literally, it would happen all the time, and no one would believe me. I'm like, bro, and there would be people back here. I'm like, watch me. I'll fly this. And they timed it between 11 and a half, 12 minutes, in the highest, head speed. So I want to go back to that. So that's where I'm going. So that's what I got new to answer your question there, Archie. Sorry for the long way around to get the question answered, but that's what happened.
So, Sean, when I was digging your 580 Nitro box out, I had another kit. So I had a little SAB 420 competition that I hadn't built yet. So I've been tinkering with that the last few days, and I've got it mostly built now. Just got to wire it up.
Looks good.
Gonna play with that some.
That looks bigger than the 420. It looks like a 500 size, but
it's about they're pretty close. There's the scene.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
I weighed them there like in this condition. So I mean, with the canopy off there, within just a couple ounces of each other. It's kind of interesting. No, so I've been working on that. I crashed my Steam, my 420.
Oh, that cost you what, 38 cents to replace?
Looked at first. I mean, I put it in from probably 40 foot. It was just one of those dumb thumb moments. Okay. But this is crashed, and it's got a little dirt on it. At first, I didn't think I'd bent the boom even, but it's tweaked, and I think it was like $4, Sean.
Right.
And that's a good segue. I mean, this bird went in under power, and yeah, I mean it's held up incredibly well. But
yeah,
that was a good one. I feel like for us to put out a preset on first.
Right.
It's a good price point. It's a great flying kit.
Yeah, and that's kind of why, not to kind of go back to that, but that's kind of why I feel like, I've heard people make this comment and say stuff from China is cheap, but that is not true at all in my experience, because it all depends on the owner of the company and how they want to structure the design and materials of that actual model.
Yeah.
Because you got Steam out here, that 420 on sale at Heli Direct was for, what, $211 or something, $211. And the screws are top notch. The design is top notch. It's good, beefy metals that they use, very hard metals, and it's up there with the rest of them for a quarter of the price. So, cheap doesn't actually have to mean cheap. It could just mean inexpensive. You know what I mean? So that's why I really fell in love with the Steam brands, because I just didn't feel when I bought a Steam kit that it was the price that it was selling for. It was up there with the best of them. So
You've been talking about it for a while. I know it's flying field here in Georgia, and like at Heli X and several. You've been talking about it. I got this 420, and I agree with you. It's an excellent kit.
it is.
Yeah.
What's going on over there, Hack? You enjoying yourself, or you just listening to the podcast app?
I'm literally here, like I'm enjoying the podcast. I really am. I really am.
I love it.
Yeah.
What's that for?
The what? Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh man, I've been corrupted by my local flying buddies. I'm building my first jet, or not my first jet, my first like bigger size jet. I guess I messed around with EDF for a long time, and these guys are like, "Oh, get into turbines, get into turbines, get into turbines," and you know, my opinion on turbines has always been a little skewed. It's like I think nitro helis has only been like the one that I really like, because I started off flying nitro. Um, I think Sean, you're the same way, right? And
Yep.
it has a soft spot. Oh, Archie as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
dude.
Only for about 10 years.
I have a soft spot for internal combustion, and it's only with helis. It's the only one that you have to be patient with, and you say, "Oh, why is he being patient?" He goes, "Because I'm very picky with my frames. They have to be clean, and some people like to leave their nitros all dirty. I'm not one of those guys. So like when I go fly my nitro bird, that bird is not going to go in my car until it's spotless. And I have to. That's just the way I am. I see it with the glistening, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, that's amazing!" It has that sauce, that nitro sauce, and I'm looking at it, and I'm here like, "Yeah, I love my nitro bird, but there ain't no way that bird is going to go in my car like that." So, it's a task. It's like I have to set the mindset in the morning when I'm going to go fly nitro, and if I fly nitro, I'm going to fly nitro all day, and I'm going to enjoy it. So again, this language or thought process translates over to the planes or the jets, and I think to myself, electric, clean, So I've always flown electric whenever I've flown jets or planes. And going to turbines, it was just, the thing is, there's something about that sound, man, when it flies by at 200 miles an hour. It does something to you. And I love turbines. I love how complex they are, the intrinsic performance, basically. And so, anyways, against against my saner thinking, I went ahead and I going down this road of turbines, and so I'm in the process of building that. And if you know, or if you've built a turbine jet before, you know that this is not like a heli. You got to take your time. You got to do things right. There's a lot of epoxy or high sol is a common application you have to use. So, and that takes time to set. And if you're picky, depending on how picky you are, like that's how long it's going to take. So, but yeah, it's amazing. Like I love how, I guess, the mechanics of a jet. That's really what interests me the most. I know you had highlighted Sean about Archie, that he is passionate about making things work. So you're talking about him, but you're also talking about me. It's like I love that.
I want to ask you something.
So
You said you got to take your time and be meticulous with the jet.
yeah.
Name one helicopter you've ever built that you were not meticulous with.
So that's a thing. So yeah. So even like I guess there's no epoxy. We'll say set time. There's no set time with helis. unless you're doing the tail rod. That's really the only thing that you have to like set. But that is really done like at the beginning, like how Sean says, I lube the belt, I do my tail rod, I do that at the beginning of the build. So by the time I get to it, it's there. But yeah, you're right. I do. Exactly.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
Yep.
you're right. A lot of people just like fly through the build. They don't put any looms on their wires for the servos. Like I loom on my birds, except the 420, because I think that any increase in weight it translates over to performance. So I don't want to do none of that for that. But any other bird, I always loom my wires, and the jet is no different. But there's painting involved with the jet. There's no painting on the helis. There's a lot of things that you want to do to the jet that helis is different. But yeah, I do pay attention to detail when it comes to the helis. However, it's important that I note this, that just so I make mention of this. I took a break from the hobby for a few years, and I came back. A good friend of mine, Carl, you guys might know him. He's Andre's dad. He got me back into it because I had gone through some personal issues, and I stepped out of the hobby because life got in the way. And he calls me up on Valentine's, and he's like, "Herman, I got you a Valentine's gift," and I'm here like, "Huh? What the?" you know. Um, so he tells me he got me a helicopter, and I'm here like, "Oh hell no! Why'd you do that?"
Yeah.
I go, "I don't got time for that, man." He goes, "Bro, you need a hobby. You should come back. You know, I got you a heli so you can get started. You just got to get yourself." This was like in the beginning of like, I don't know if it was 22 or 23. I think it was 23. And so he had gotten me an Evo, uh, an OMP M2 Evo. So in my mind, when he got me that small heli, I thought to myself, and I go, "Oh, thanks, Carl. I'm gonna put it on my desk, and just I didn't really think much of it because my impressions of small helis like that when I left the hobby were that they weren't really that good."
Right.
And then he's like, "Listen, before you quick to judge, get online, go look at a video. Tariq's out there flying them. Some badass pilots are out there ripping it up with these helis." And when I saw how capable they were, I hate to say it, man, I was hyped. I was hyped, and I bought myself a TX16 to start off because I was still unsure whether or not I was going to stay in the hobby. Whatever. A few flights later on the M2, after I went through a a simple setup procedure on my TX16 without knowing anything. That's sarcasm. I went ahead and I think I had a 700 in a month. In a month, I already had a 420, a raw 420, and a 700. Anyways, when a bunch of the locals found out that I was back in the game, I started doing, because I was like a local builder for a bunch of these guys, and I recorded in a period of 12 months, a little bit over 80 builds. So yeah, that's so I am meticulous, but I'm proficient when it comes to helis. And electric electric jets are a little easier to work on. Having to manage anything with internal combustion. Anybody knows that nitro helis take longer than electric helis. It's just the way it is.
Sure. Sure.
So, but
I
yeah,
mean, I found
it's
something pretty cool the other day, Sean. I don't think I showed this to you, but this is some fabric wire loom. It's like what cars use. So
oh
this is like
nice.
done in cars, like Mercedes
Hmm.
use this, and this is where you can repair like a wire loom, but you just peel it off because I'd use the little Velcro one wrap in a lot of
Yeah.
cases. I would wrap that around the wire before you put the zip tie on.
Right.
That was one thing when I started flying in Texas. Curtis Youngblood had looked at one of my helicopters and had a zip tie on it, and he's like, "Get that off." But I found this recently, and this stuff, like Herman, when you don't want to do that full loom, you can just wrap this around it, and it's working pretty well. The other thing you can do is where you have a wire that's going over carbon fiber, you can
Yeah.
put a little piece of that on that edge, and it just softens it.
Oh, I'm ordering that too. Can you send that link to our
You got to post
our
that up. You got to post that up in the Discord.
Okay,
yeah, that
I'll
too.
put
Send
it
it
That's
in
up.
the Discord.
That's one thing I've been trying out, and I'm impressed with it so far. It's pretty nice.
okay. I'm gonna
Yeah.
put it on this 580 because nitros they vibrate. So
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
cool. Oh, one thing I wanted to bring up too before we go on. if you're listening and you're watching us, great. But if you're just listening and just kind of driving or doing whatever and just listening to our voice, if you go to the links category on System X community, um, do us a favor and kind of donate if you can to the Rotorflight group. Um, we've talked to these guys and they do everything they can to try to further this hobby. They are now becoming a real viable option to the other flybar units or software that is out there.
Yes.
We know that a lot of the navigating this stuff can be a little difficult. That's why System X community was created, to be the go-between between the end user and these guys have been tirelessly working on this stuff for years. So if you can, just look at it as a you can buy the hardware, but for me, I've been in this hobby since 90 something, and when I say that the System X presets on the Nexus and Radio Master for right now, but we also have FR Sky situations coming up now, and then that's probably the next thing we can talk about too. But yeah, it flies so good. It flies so good. I haven't had any um, um, interference as far as like with connection to my model. I've flown it so far away and haven't had any problems. So just knowing the stuff works, and that's part of the reason why I kind of wanted to, you know, get rid of my Nexus when I was like, okay, if I was inverted over my pole and it quit, the clutch came off, it would be at the 9 feet under, because the water's cold right now to jump into to save it. So whenever I feel safe with something, I tend to stick to it. So I feel safe with Rotorflight. I feel safe with my Radio Master and my Nexus, and I feel safe with my FR Sky radios as well. But just wanted to put that out there is that drop by. If it's only $20, $30. If you can drop them $100, great. If you want to give 1,000, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? There's just a lot of people buying these units based upon their software, and it's really furthering the community. And any help, small or big, would help those guys. They just don't stop. So shouts out to the team Rotorflight.
Yeah. We're gonna include that link for you guys as well with the video.
Yes. Yep.
Yep.
So I'm asking both of you guys because people were saying, "Hey, what about FR Sky? You got Radio Master stuff. What's going on with the FR Sky stuff? System X, brains."
I mean, I was ready, waiting for the release of 1.6. It's a big jump from going from the previous version, and there's just I guess little hurdles, little muddy waters per se that need to be cleared up before we feel comfortable in releasing a preset for the masses that's in line with what we've released for the TX16.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we want to test it. We want to have some time to test it.
Yeah, it's important that we test it. I mean, we definitely need to test it.
Yeah, just know this if you're listening right now. One thing we pride ourselves on here at System X community is that if we're telling you we're trying out something, we're trying it out. But when we put our stamp on it, that means it's true. We've flown it. We know what's going on. We know what's happening. And listen, there's these cases here and there, stuff that we can't control, maybe altitude, or you might have done something or whatever. But in our controlled testing environment, we will, when we say, hey, put the System X label on this, we are very confident that this works, and it works very well. So we take pride in that. Archie and Herman do extensive testing, and not just for the things that we are personally working on, but for other brands as well. We test it all. They test it all, and we get it all working. So when you get it, things will work smoothly for you. We have some things that we're cooking right now.
And Sean, I'll add a little bit to kind of what Herman said, and maybe even just kind of take it a step back and say, hey, what's the approach with Radio Master versus FR Sky, or Free Sky? with like, and I've gotten questions too, like, why update your SD card contents? And this is a TX16.
Gotcha. Okay.
So when these radios ship out, they ship with firmware version 2.8. Most of them that come out. The current version of Edge TX is 2.10. 2. Herman, help me here. What was it? I
Two,
lost.
two, 21015.
Yeah. Um, so when um, when 2.10, when you upgrade to 2.10, as you move through those major updates from 2.8 to 2.9 to 2.10, that is where you should be going in and updating your SD card contents, because
Gotcha.
there's little differences in the way that the models are structured in the radio and that. So, with FR Sky, that's not exactly the same as far as like SD card contents, because these radios don't come with SD cards. The
Gotcha.
It's stored on the radio itself. So it's that we want to test it, and we also want to figure out the best approach. What is the best approach with the FR Sky to help the community?
Yeah. Yeah. Also too, these guys are not gonna brag on themselves, but that's my job. And uh these presets that you will get from System X community are, this is not something we've gotten from somebody else and we just slap our name on it. It's been thoroughly vetted, thoroughly gone through, all the folders opened up, all the stuff that is not needed taken out, streamlined, efficient way to fly your model. These two guys together are a
You,
it's literally TNT. It's dynamite when it comes down to it. The crazy thing about it is as much as they're hard on themselves, they're hard on the information they get. So it's not just, oh, this such and such person said it. It's, well, let me see if this works in our ecosystem or our system and our preset. So just know that when we put up a preset, it is not just the,
yeah, it's vetted.
you know, yeah,
But
it's not just some guy putting up a file and then that's
l-
it. So
let me go ahead and highlight something. And I've talked about this with Archie, and I don't think I've ever said this like publicly, or publicly in the sense of like recording or in the Discord chat. Um, but so let's say right now we get a kit, brand new kit, just came out. We're gonna start tuning it, and we go with like ballpark numbers. Me and Archie, or even Sean, we both prefer a higher P to D ratio. So our tunes are usually around that, and we just kind of control the rates, expo and boost accordingly. And we will start the tuning process, and obviously everybody knows by now that we always use black box. We kind of cross-reference black box every step of the way, and when we say that it's been vetted, it's like perfect. Like we made sure that the P is just right, the I is just right, the D just right, balances everything out, and feed the forward feed as well. Um, Now, what we call perfect doesn't necessarily mean that if you don't have our settings, your heli does not fly perfect. We have seen, and time again, and I don't know how many logs we've done, and the community has seen this as well. Those that also do black box tuning, where you'll have a certain tune here, and but on black box, it's not perfect like we're saying that ours is, right? But it doesn't mean that the bird is going to fly horribly. No. I've seen it myself where there's like a gap, like maybe we'll call it 85, 90% of how what we run, and the bird flies amazing. There's the inconsistencies that I'm seeing on black box. It's not translating over. It's not like, oh, yeah, it's not perfect, but it flies damn good, and I can't see any inconsistencies. Yet the black box is showing me the numbers are off. So I'll go ahead and I'll change it because that's how I like to do things. I'm picky like that, and so is Archie. So we both agree on that, and we'll modify the numbers accordingly and get it perfect, and then go back and fly it, and it'll be like, well, okay, so now the black box is saying that it's perfect. but it's feels about the same. It felt good before. I didn't need to make it like like picture perfect. But just know that if you don't run what we do, it doesn't mean anything. Like just tune what feels good to you. If you want to run a preset because you just don't want to dedicate the time to tuning, you
Well,
don't want to perfect it, you can go ahead and do it either way. You have options. This is just
Herman,
like, yeah.
you and I had this conversation several months back,
Hmm.
setting up a new bird, and it was, hey, because if you just take the defaults, they are in essence a preset
Hmm.
as well.
Yeah.
So we had this conversation because I set up one of my birds. I think it was a raw 580, and I said, well, I'm just going to start at Rotorflight defaults and start tuning from there. And you're like, Archie, why are you doing that? You know pretty close what those numbers need to be. And I was like, well, I want to feel it like along the way. And I've come around to your way of thinking, Herman. If we know where the numbers are close, let's start from there.
Yeah. What I
And
mean, what I mean is
that's where
like,
like you say that like 80% or that 85 or that 95, like adjusting by feel, you're only going to get to a certain point.
yeah,
And that
that's true.
helicopter
That's
may
true.
fly
That's
very
true.
well. That helicopter may fly very well, and you're only going to get to a certain point. To really
Eh,
get that last bit where those PIDs are working together well, but that whole system is working, that's where you got to use black box and use that data logging.
I read this the other day though, and it's a good point, and it's relevant to this conversation. Where if if you have the experience that shows you what perfect is, then it's easier for you to tune by feel and get it close to that perfect, right?
Yes.
And then, but if you don't have that experience and yet you use our preset, you'll get a taste of what it's supposed to fly like and learn from there and then tune your own way and be like, oh, I see what these guys did. I see how locked in it felt on the pitch, how locked in it felt on the roll, or the proper characteristics that the bird gives off when the numbers are right, and then you go from there, and then you
And Herman, like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you finished?
yeah, 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 no, no, just adding.
So like an example of that is the D. So let's say that I go out and I'm new to rotor flight and I start tuning the D value.
Hmm.
Um, there's certain maneuvers that you or I do to kind of check the D,
Correct.
and it takes a long time to learn that,
Yes.
and it takes time, and that method, like you know, bumping that up, you may if you're not hitting the stick really quick and watching it stop, you're not going to see some of those oscillations, and you could get it up really high sometimes. So it's where I'm going with that, Herman, is like it takes a while. You really need to fly one that's tuned right, and then look at the black box really close, and that helps teach you how to tune one
Yeah.
as
So
well.
what I've been telling some folks is, look, if you get a file, doesn't have to be yours. If you get a file and that file flies perfect, right? It checks out good on your black box. Like you do the black box log. This is what it's supposed to be. This is good, right? And then go put defaults on another heli or that same heli and do a black box file and then do a comparison. Left here, we have this black box file with just defaults. You see how the PIDs are reacting. This is a tuned one on the right. And then you can compare and you can be like, oh, look, 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 in your rolls. So let's say you go to the point in both black box logs where you're both doing just right rolls and you can see how the PIDs are reacting on each and more. And then you'd be like, okay, I see why. I see the value that I'm using over here. Like if you use cross reference, because this is where we get lost. If you don't understand PIDs, people forget that if you just use some cross referencing with what is tuned and what is not tuned, you can learn, you can progress in your tuning.
Yeah, I just want to jump in here too. Also, if you get a basic tune, like you go to Rotorflight, you dump it on the Nexus, you get all the servos going the right way. And if you're just like in the sport flying or you're just learning, listen, all of this is going to be mumbo jumbo to you until you want to jump down that rabbit hole. Like
Yep.
it will fly, It will do loops. It will do rolls. It will barrel flip. It will do all the figure eights and circles and backwards stuff. It will do all of it. What we are talking about is an advanced menu type of thing. If you're familiar with V-Bar or any other the icon, there are tabs where you can dive in a little deeper. The things that we're talking about is these guys have went down like subatomical, like you know, down, taking the submarine all the way down to the ocean floor type thing. So don't let this conversation get you kind of like, oh man, see, Rotorflight is hard or this. No, it's just they have a different expectation of standard of where they want their models to fly, and what we're offering you as well. Our presets are helping you kind of do the shortcut because they're taking the long way around. But as they're taking the long way around, they are picking up these different nuances to tuning, because tuning and setting up a rotor flight is two completely different worlds. It's not the same thing. They kind of connect at a point, but not really.
Pig
So
tuning is a hobby.
yes, in itself, 100%, 100%. So this is why we're here, to take what rotor flight is doing and not to take away or add from it, but to break it down in a way that you can understand. And we are kind of the arm of the customer service of all of these brands and helis and stuff when it comes down to System X's way of doing things. Our way is I'm not gonna say it's better than other people's way. They definitely have it's here's the plus side and the negative to this whole ecosystem we're talking about. There are, let's just say it's a race, it's a 5 mile race, and there are 50 different paths you can take there. Some you have to climb, some is almost down here, some is flat, some is through forest, some is on pavement, some is in sand. There are 100 different ways to get to a helicopter flying the way you like it. There is no only one way to do this. So
Yep.
Herman might look at a profile, Archie might look at a profile, and he might be like, "Oh, this sucks." This, but that guy's flying it, and he likes it. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
right. So,
But
but
this is a true
our
story. Like,
standard,
we have said that.
yes, 100%. Like, look at a file and be like, this
I'll
is
look at the
trash.
numbers and I'll be like, oh my God. Oh,
Right,
Yeah.
oh, putting that away.
right.
I know anytime I see the D number higher than the P, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, because those two balance each other out. And it's,
Right. They're looking at it with a different lens. So we just want to encourage everybody, while we're kind of geeking out on this stuff, that don't take it to where it's like it's unreachable to, or you can't do it yourself. You can get rotor flight flying on Nexus. You can, but it will take you time. And a lot of people, that's kind of where we're kind of helping, is a lot of these questions they had to like search on YouTube for or Google for like days, and like looking through files, going to Rotorflight Discord, like going through messages and
Mhm.
all of that. They did all that for you. So
Yeah, for
Hey,
sure.
I mean, you said it perfectly to me. And it was like, you said, Archie, why would you start out with that if you know it's not where it needs to be? Because you have enough experience to this to know pretty dang close where it needs to be. So
I, I
that's,
I said that because we've been on the learning curve together. We've shared so much knowledge. We've tried so many different things out. We have literally done all the wrong ways to do the tuning, and learned the correct ways along that path. And there's just it's like a misconception online where people say if you use a preset, you don't learn. And this is true. You don't learn. But when you start looking at PID tuning and learning the complete ins and outs of the radio, the flybarless unit, it's a task. Does rotor flight truly fly better? I really think it does. I've put in those hours. Archie has put in those hours because we believe it does. And the truth is that when you go out there to the world and you start sharing this knowledge, this experience, this positive experience, everybody's like, no, that system is way too complicated. It's just way too hard. It's a lot of stuff you got to do. And I look at them with the face and I'm here like, they're not wrong. They're right. It's hard.
yeah,
Enter the presets.
yeah.
Let someone give someone the easy way out. And then along the way, they're gonna want to learn. They're going to want to reverse engineer the preset wherever they got it from. They're going to want to reverse engineer it, and we
Some
have
of them.
done that. Some of them,
Yeah.
yes, some of them. But that's important that we say that, because if you give somebody the built helicopter and you don't let them build it, you're basically robbing them of the experience that they're going to get when they're making their own helicopter. And then what happens when it comes time for the repair? You know, they're not going to know exactly what to do. They're going to feel uncomfortable. They're going to feel like a fish out of water, and that's exactly what the preset does in a way, right? It takes away, but in the contrary, not everybody cares about that.
But
But if
also
but
get out and enjoy, Herman. Like,
Like,
because
you
you
lose the
mentioned
time. You lose the time. You know how many times I want to go for a quick flight, and I tell myself, I'm there like looking at my watch, like I gotta go be somewhere, let's say at 3 o'clock, and I'm like, all right, so it's 11 in the morning. If I only had nitro helicopters to fly, you see what I'm saying about the cleaning experience I gave you? Like, no. But
yeah,
I go out with my 4 charge packs. I get those 4 flights in. I don't got to tune. It's already done. I just go out there, hammer out some moves that I've been practicing on the sim, and then all right, pack it up, go home. But if I had to still be tuning because I didn't take my time or learn it or whatever, it'd be a nightmare. And one of the
yeah.
reasons why V-Bar has been so accepted, in today's market, is like even they have a default preset that a lot of people use. They don't even change the game. They don't change nothing. They just learn the setup and they use the stock gains and they just run it like that. They even use default agility. Like the default rates, they use that stock agility. Like, man, bro, that's from my point of view, because I'm a hands-on type of guy, bro. I like to take things apart, what I mean, see what's up, go ahead and change the parts out, what I mean, I'll upgrade before the maiden. Like, that's me. I'm the upgrade before the maiden guy. That's me. But
Yeah.
it's like, we're trying to find our way in Rotorflight. We don't even know it, but we're trying to see all the things that we've had problems with, and we're providing
Well,
shortcuts to the community based on the stuff that we struggled with. And there's people out there that would benefit from that.
so let's talk about too. Like we've mentioned, there's so many different ways to do this thing, or to set up Rotorflight. One of those things is the channel layout.
Yeah.
I know when I started, I used a different channel layout, and I put profiles on a separate channel than rates,
Yeah.
and those items were on a different rate profile on different channels.
Yeah.
Then you start looking at it, and it's like I could do this many different ways. And someone getting a TX16 or any other radio, whether it be Jetty or Free Sky or Spectrum to use with the Nexus, they could lay out their channels in a different way. And that's what we've been really looking at here as well too, is finding standards. And when you download our System X preset, our System X SD card contents for the Radio Master TX16, those channels are lined up exactly the way that the Rotorflight developers have laid it out on the website. So if you download that and then you're like, hey, I want to learn more about this later, you can go and look and go to the rotorflight.org website and look, and those channel layouts are exactly the same. And for me, that's a big one as we go forward with Rotorflight, is establishing some standards to where we can make it easier in the future to make it to where it's not as involved to set up.
Guys, pause. We need to go ahead and highlight this real quick because I had this talk with Archie all the time. Uh, the Rotorflight website has a lot of beneficial information. Those guys, as much of work as they've put it, I mean, I don't know if you guys know, the community knows, if they do or they don't, but work goes into the firmware, work goes into the configurator, work goes into translations, work goes into the website, presets on the website. Like, the list is infinite.
And
What these guys
and
do.
support on their Discord for their supporting. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
ton of work
exactly.
for that group.
So if you guys have the time, like whenever you have your free time, go to the Rotorflight website, check it out. Go, like, I don't know. I've done this for years in the hobby as well. Like, when I was passionate about, let's say, getting into helis at first, I would go through the entire Heli Direct site, any other site that I was using at the time, go through all their little, like, different subsections for parts, for different things and learn. And the same way I did it with HeliDirect, I did it, or with any other site that I used, AIMAIN, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it was. You guys need to do it with Rotorflight, because there's a lot of information on that site that is beneficial to somebody who's stepping into Rotorflight for the first time. And even the other day we were talking about with Archie with the governor. Archie learned how to tune the governor before even looking on the Rotorflight website.
Sean Herman and I were talking, and I looked and I said, "Dang, there's a new page on the
and I'm like,
Rotorflight website." And I'm like, "Hey, this is awesome! It was a tuning guide for governor." And Herman's like, "It's been there." I'm like,
so I think a lot of people are like Archie. A lot of people don't know. They don't know, and they need to go on that site and check it out, man, because they've done a lot of good stuff for that for us.
Yeah, I do want to say this real quick as you guys are doing that. Our attempt at knowing all this stuff and getting off on digging through stuff to get to, like, don't feel like you're less than, or that it's not good, that you just want to, something ready to fly. Like it's okay, if you just want to fly, that's okay too. These guys just have a particular set of skills and desires with those skills that require them to not just pick something up and fly it. So to you guys who's just getting into S1s or S2s that, ready to run packages where it comes with the transmitter, and you're just wanting to, like, hey, I just saw a Ben Stork video and I want to, hover, or I want to, like, don't let us discourage you from just getting straight to the meat of it all, and find your way of enjoying this hobby. There's I've said this before. We all are in this hobby for different reasons. Some like to collect, some like to build, some like to, dismantle stuff, put it back together. Someone wants to perfect the Piro flip. Someone is working on a hurricane. And that's what's so awesome about this hobby, is that there's so many different ways you can plug in. Some guys just fly scale. Some guys, just like precision flying. It's so many little pockets of cool things about this hobby. But the sexy System X community, aka sexy, is just a place where you can kind of plug in here and just kind of get some things that, if you don't understand stuff on Rotorflight, we got two geniuses here who have gone down the road of making sure. Yeah, they always do that. I call them geniuses. They go,
Geniuses,
yeah, right.
And I'm here like, bro, what's this guy talking about, man? I'm just
Yeah,
stubborn, bro. Stubborn. You know what stubborn is, bro? You can't. It's hard to like, I guess, compete with somebody who just doesn't give up.
right.
So like when you give up and you go to sleep, when you give up and you say, you know what, I'm not doing this no more. Like, but if you're up against somebody who just doesn't know when to stop, doesn't know how to just say take no for an answer, like, no, that's how me and Archie are. We just keep on hitting the nail with the hammer. And then, over time, you got tired, you left, and we continued. So then we look like, the undefeated champs. In reality, we just kept on going.
Yeah. So I think we got it out there. Archie, you turn your light off and now you look like an African American. What is this?
I don't know. I don't want to
Turn
say
into
anything.
Leroy.
I don't want
it's
to
a
say anything,
window.
but
There's
I
a window
feel.
here, and
Oh, it's
it's
gotten
winter,
darker.
so
It's
the
gotten
sun went
darker.
down, and my light adjusted.
See, I got a
Yeah.
light right here. See this? See?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got natural.
I think Herman has one too. So
No,
yeah,
no,
you
no, 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 no. I haven't.
Adjust.
I haven't done that. I haven't done that, but I could. I could. Ah!
damn, you turned angelic on us. I think y'all didn't hear my joke that Archie turned into Leon. That was a good joke I put out there. You turned into Eric Gray.
Guys,
Oh, there we go.
A little cameo. A little cameo of my boy over here.
Oh,
yeah.
What's up, Lucky?
Yeah. He's the best,
Lucky.
man. He's my assistant. Whenever I'm building or I'm doing any wrenching, he's always with me, man. Every step of the way. If it wasn't for him,
I have an Australian cattle dog. I try to keep him away.
I don't have any pets yet. I'm getting them. Yeah. Okay, so anything last things you want to wrap up with? Because it's been.
I think that's it. I mean, yeah, I mean, we highlighted a few things. We just wanted to touch base with the community. It's been a while. We launched and we just the holidays, everything got in the way, and we haven't really touched base.
All
Family
right.
time is important. All right,
There
family
it
time is
is.
important.
Yes. And I think we want to start incorporating some giveaways. At some point, we should probably hit up all the leading hobby stores out there to see if they want to contribute to some of the giveaways. We'll be doing stuff in the coming, year. Stuff
Hold on,
from,
hold on, hold on. People are probably
yeah.
curious.
hmm
What's the next preset? Are we gonna go
I,
700 for the next preset?
I mean, listen, I don't want to talk about it, but if you want to talk about it, we can.
Hell yeah, I want to talk about it.
All right. I
What do
would
you,
keep it general, keep people
Arch?
guessing.
Arch, so we're gonna do what we talked about. We had a conversation prior to this. I'm doing this spontaneous. This is not pre-recorded. But we had talked about a certain model that we wanted to shed some light
I'm
on
game.
because I think
I'm
that
game.
everybody has had some good experience with this model, and that model is the Tron 7.0. So we're gonna drop a preset on the Tron 7.0 because I think that model deserves some loving.
That's a great model.
It
I
is.
like mine.
It is. It is. So be on the lookout for that, guys. That'll be coming out very, very soon.
Dope. All right. Any last words, anyone?
No, I think we've covered all our bases, man. But
All right.
till next time, guys.